All right, so now we're going to overhaul the valve body out of this ZF6HP19A from the '04 Volkswagen Phaeton. All right, so I have currently my transfer shift kit, because this is a Gen 1. I have my brand new solenoid kit, and I'm just waiting on the separator plate. This particular one is an 051. I had tried to decode the Stukel number on the side of the trans, and with a little help, and I came up with an 052 plate, so that's what I ordered, but I got the incorrect one. So now I am waiting for the correct one, which hopefully should be here in about a half an hour. So we can start the process, and by the time we get the valve body apart, cleaned, shift kit installed, the plate should be here. All right, so I'm going to get a little closer, and we'll start by, of course, taking off the Mechatronic unit. We'll move the wiring harnesses out of the way, take the 6 bolts out that hold this on, and then we can go ahead and separate the 2 halves, clean everything up, install the shift kit, and reassemble the valve body. All right, so let me get a little closer on it. We'll get started. All right, so we're going to just move this wiring harness out of the way, and these just kind of snap in on top of some of the bolts, so you should be able to pull these things right out. Okay, should just come right up, and then we can move it aside. All right, torque 27, we'll take the bolts out. Remove the TCM. Long speed sensors in this thing. Look at that big bolt there. Okay. Now, very carefully, let's remove this. Okay, so here it is, and this, we're going to clean all that up. Look at that. And that's going to be clean. Okay. Here is all the wiring. And here I put new O-rings. This doesn't have that lock that the BMWs have, so it's got to be somewhere in the car, because I think I got all the bolts, but there's a retainer that goes through. I just got to find that. Okay. All right, so now we'll just go ahead and get the rest of these bolts out. Take this down a little more. the valve body's not in that bad a shape, you know, with all the crap and metal and stuff floating around in here. Okay, so we have again the 051. Let me see if I can break the seal there. Okay. Alright. Just hold this here. Flip this over. Okay, so the valve body, you know, looked like there's a little stuff mixed in here, but the valve body was out of the car for a while. All right. We'll pick this straight up. And so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 anchors. Some of them might be flat, but we're going to change all that. Alright, so it's just typical valve body. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 check balls, a couple of valves, filter, and the damper. So let's mark our spots. Take these out one at a time. And what I want to do actually first, I always like to take a picture just in case. Alrighty. Here's the first spring. I'm going to put it here. We have 1, 2, 3. Here, okay, another valve and spring, filter, and last check ball. Okay, so now we're going to take the dampers out. Okay, everything looks good here. We'll bring it to the edge and push up. And these suckers are flat. I'm going to go ahead and let's sand this. There's some valves in here, some springs, some do not have springs, so we want to ensure good movement there. All right, and this here is kind of a plastic sign. It's a Gen 1. This one shot. Okay. All right, so I'm going to clean everything up, and I want to ensure good movement of all the valves, and then we'll go ahead and install the Transgo shift kit, and then we'll load everything back up into the channel plate, and hopefully by that time our plate will be here and we can put this back together. Okay, so give me a few and I'll be back. All right, back with you, and it's actually been a couple hours. I did have to pull a lot of the valves out and get them freed up and cleaned up, you know, because some of these valves do just float in there with no springs. Even the valves with the springs were stuck. So I got everything all nice and clean, everything is free. And also I received my plate, the 051 plate. So what we're going to do now is install the shift kit, the Transgo shift kit in here. And the first thing that we have to verify in order to make sure this shift kit is going to fit is we got to look and make sure that this has a vent. There's either a large vent, or there's a small vent, or there's no vent. Okay, so here is the vent. We have the large vent, so we know this is going to work. All right, pretty much if it doesn't have a vent, it's a generation 2, like a 6HP21 or 28. And the shift kit will not work in those units. So just verify and make sure that that vent is there. Okay, so we did that. And let's take a look at what we got here in the shift kit. So we have our caps for the pressure regulator, and we have our 2-piece pressure regulator valve and spring. All right, so there's 2 caps, and one of them is larger than the other, so I guess if there would be an oversized valve in there, maybe that's why they would put that in there. But either that or there's 2 different types of pressure regulator valves, but for a Gen 1, it should be the smaller one. It should be 495, or the other one is 514, but that is usually in a generation 2. Okay, we have our lockup valve. They gave me a couple of springs in there. Looks like possibly a white and black spring, so we'll see which one they want us to use. They give you some clips, and they give you the rubber dampers for the accumulators that we're going to put in there. And again, here are the clips. Okay. So, fairly simple kit to install. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our pressure regulator valve lineup, which is right here, and our lockup valve is here, and that's pretty much about it for that. So let's see how hard or easy they're going to come out, because I really didn't address those, because it has to come out anyway. And so here is the retainer, and let's see if we can get these things out. This is stuck in here pretty good. Wow. Okay. Certainly not free. All right, we're gonna have to definitely clean this bore out. Okay. Take a look at that. Looks all scratched up from all the crap in there. All right, there's a spring in there. Get the spring out. Definitely gonna clean this bore up. All right, so what they want us to do here is measure the thickness of this. Just to confirm, it's 495. Which it is. Okay, so that's good. All right. Then we're gonna open up right, you can see the difference here. One is much larger, so the larger one we put aside, and the smaller one will fit right in there. The larger one will fit in there, but you can see it's loose. Okay. All right. So what I want to do is I just want to clean this bore out. That thing was stuck in there pretty good. But we have the valve out. Okay, so the whole setup is going to go in like this, the two-piece pressure regulator setup. All right, so just give me a second here. Let me just clean all this out. I want to blow it out, wash it out, and I will be right back. All right, so we got that all cleaned up. So we're going to install our new pressure regulator setup. Okay, so first, put this piece in. Oh, I don't want the spring to fall out. Let me just put a dab of trans gel on it. Okay. Okay, that seems free. Seems free, and our cap. Just make sure I got the right one here. Yeah. Okay, that looks good, and that valve is nice and free. Okay, all right, next, we're going to do the lockup valve. Okay, so let's go. Okay, all right, so we're going to take the lockup valve out, discard the old valve and spring. We're going to reuse the end plug and reuse the retainer. Unless you want to put a new one of these in, you can do that. All right, and we're going to go with the small white spring. Okay, so let's get this out. This seems like it's, you know, free in there. The end plug's moving back and forth. Okay. Okay, got it. Okay, I got the valve. And the spring. We're not going to use over again. All right, let me just rinse this real quick. Blow it out, and then we'll put the new valve setup in there. Okay. Okay, there's the new valve, white spring. That's what it looks like. The land is much longer, so it'll grab on a better part, you know, if the bore is worn out. So this is actually a great design. Let's go ahead. Okay. This back in. Our clip. Okay, so this section is complete. All right, so what we'll do now is we're going to open up our little bag of rubber dampers here, and we can install those. All right, so these here are pretty much all the same. They're really flat. You know, a big difference to how the new one is. So all of them are going to be changed. All right, this just easy, just pulls right out. And the next one, right. Okay, 2 more to go. This one's really flat. Look at that, look how, looks like a pancake, really flat. Last one. Okay. All right, so technically the shift kit is done. What I'm going to do now, let me switch angles and we'll install all of our small parts into the channel plate. All right, I'll get here is my new one. I got to open it up. And we can pretty much put this valve body back together and get that out of the way. I do want to clean up actually what I want to do first is clean up the Mechatronic TCM, and I want to just kind of let that dry. So let's, for now, just load up the small parts, and I'll give you a shot where it is. All right, let me actually get a little closer so we can do that. Give me 1 second. All right, so let's load up our small parts. So we got a check ball there. All right, and we have a valve and spring. And we have 1, 2, 3. 1 here. We have another valve and spring filter. And check ball. Okay. So what I want to do now is I want to clean this up real nice and kind of just let it dry, because this is all crappy and there's all stuff in here. So let me clean everything up. I want to spray it, clean it, and then I'll get back with you and we'll just go ahead and put this together, because I need to put this on so I can line everything up, the 2 valve body halves, and then we'll take it back off again. But that's what we got to do. All right, so give me a few minutes and I will be right back. All right, so real quick, check balls on this Volkswagen. Remember, the locations may vary, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right, 2 valves and filter, and the 6 dampers on the bottom. All right, going to reposition, and we're going to put this valve body together and then install the new set of solenoids. All right, so we have our plate with the correct code, B051 or A051. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to put the 2 halves together, and then we put the Mechatronic unit in to line everything up. But before we do that, we got to put our new solenoids in so the unit will go on and just pretty much stay on. So let's put this in place. All right, we'd like to make sure these are free. Okay, line her up. Okay. Okay. That's good. So let's put a couple of these in just to hold it together. I'm gonna do these hand tight. All right, now let's get this bracket off. And they're all 27s. Okay, lift this off, put it aside. We have our new solenoid kit. And we'll do these one at a time. Black. Okay. Just gonna open the bag here. All right, we'll start. Get this, it's some trans gel. Okay, pop that out. Glue. Okay. Those are the colors there. It looks almost greenish. Okay. Black one, this is the actually on off. And the other ones are the EDS. And the last one. All right, so I put some trans gel on them and just give it a push, it'll snap in. Okay, and then we have on the solenoid, you have the little notch cut out. All right, so that's where these little things gotta go. All right. Sometimes you may have to adjust the solenoid to get it where you want it. Okay, very good. Alright, and we're going to torque these down once I run them in. This strand's in pretty bad shape. Okay. I'm going to do these about 90 inch-pounds. Okay, just make sure I got, these are all good here. Okay, all right, so we have the 3 hand tight new solenoids. So now we're gonna install the Mechatronic with the dowel pins, so everything will get lined up. All right, can you guys see? I'll move this up a little bit. All right, so we have our manual valve that we got to catch. Manual valve. Okay. Right. Very nice. Okay. Now let's get all the bolts in. Right. Use our 4 to hold the computer on. We got the long one all the way down there. Okay. Down. All right, these are the ones for the computer. All right, I'm going to torque these down. About the same. Yeah, about 95 inch-pounds is good. Now we'll get the 6 for the Mechatronic. Okay, let's just go over these, make sure these are all good. Alright, it looks good. Okay. Now, I'm going to put our wires in. Like that. Snap it on. Snap it on. Okay. All right, so these I have 2 new O-rings for here in the kit, which I'll be putting on. And that is it. Valve body is done for this 04 Volkswagen Phaeton. All right, I'm going to continue on the rebuild, but I wanted to do the overhaul the valve body, do everything with you guys, and that is complete. So thanks for watching. Have a great day. We'll see you next one.